So last week I made a video breaking down a top tier player's gameplay, kind of going through their gameplay and breaking down the hitting approaches, the in-game mechanics they were using to succeed so well. And I thought after making that video and seeing your guys' support for it, that I would make a video on the reverse side. Let's look for a player who maybe isn't as good at the game, where we could break down their gameplay, point out what they're doing wrong, and kind of offer some tips of improvement, offer some insights on how I would improve things based on how they're playing. So I asked, who wanted to get their gameplay potentially roasted and broke down and kind of critiqued in this type of manner? And you know, we had Mr. Daddy Dimmu sacrifice himself as tribute. So he's going to be the first one of this at least series, if you guys want to really see this. It seems like people want to see this kind of stuff. So the first one we're going to be going for is Mr. Dimmu. You guys know Dimmu, content creator in the MLB The Show community, plays a lot of BR, especially on stream, but you know, is someone who can definitely use some improvement in his gameplay. So we're gonna break down his gameplay. We're gonna go into one of his videos, break down his hitting approach, or at least what I think it is, offer some advice to see what he can improve on, and just go through overall some pointers of common mistakes I see people make when I'm watching other people play, and offer some advice where we could improve off that. I want to make it clear, he wanted to do this, so you know, I'm just going to be coming in from a purely gameplay perspective, offering advice and breaking down things. If you do want to check out Dimmu's channel, check out his channel down below, but you guys probably sub to him anyway. But if you don't, 100% check out his channels everywhere, one of the best people in the community. But let's get into the breakdown. Alright, so before we get into the breakdown very quickly, I want to point out a couple things. In case you guys are brand new and have not hit that sub button down below, make sure you do. I do offer a bunch of MLB The Show tips on the channel to help everyone get better at the game. We're doing a lot of gameplay tips as of right now, but I have a bunch of things from tier lists to other pitching and hitting tips to some gameplay videos, and then doing more in the near future. So if you want to hit that sub button, make sure you hit that down below. Also, if you do enjoy this video, if you enjoy this critique and you learn something new that helps you out at the plate or on the mound in game, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It helps get the videos out there. I do stream on Twitch. If you want to come hang out with me during the afternoons, evenings, during most days of the week, come check out the Twitch down below, twitch.tv/scan. Best place to find me outside of the YouTube here. But without further ado, let's get into our breakdown of Mr. Dimmu's gameplay. So I'm going to be going through his 99 Bryce Harper debut. This gameplay is an interesting one because I think it showed some things he did well and some things that he did poorly. First of all, let's just talk about his lineup. Obviously, Dimmu is like me in the scenario where we like to shuffle our players a lot. We try new players, mix things up. So in terms of a God Squad lineup, you know, this isn't the best God Squad lineup. He said he was going to try Frazier, Alonso, and he's debuting Mr. Harper. So obviously there's that factor involved. But other than that, I can't say this lineup is too bad. Not a bad lineup by all means, got a great team. He's going to be pitching with 96 Zach Greinke, which we're definitely going to want to talk about some pitching things with that card in this video. Now let's go into the gameplay and start breaking down his hitting and pitching approach. All right, so he's going to be facing a pretty good God Squad here, honestly, and he's going to be facing Roy Oswalt, who's definitely not one of the best pitchers, but you know, could be frustrating for some players. And let's just look at his pitching approach and see how he attacks his opponent. For me, when I'm pitching early on in the game, I want to pick up the trends of my opponent. I want to see how he's going to be approach me at the plate. His opponent misses a fastball right down the pipe, which, you know, could be a sign of either his opponent struggling in the warm-up, struggling to time that fastball, maybe really late on every single one of them, or just in general, his opponent just might not be a great hitter. He threw 3 fastballs and the opponent didn't put a single good swing on it. So it seems like, you know, he's going to have that fastball as a pitch to go to. Also, that curveball with Greinke is nice if you locate it on the corners. Super slow. It's a really good change of speed pitch, but also you need to keep it on the corners. If you hang it, anyone can hit that ball a mile. But I'm just picking up already. He's going to a lot of fastballs. His opponent hasn't put up any good swings on it, so you're going to want to keep in mind that, you know, you don't want to throw too many fastballs because your opponent may eventually read them well. Let's see how he adjusts at the plate here. So first of all, Roy Oswalt has fastball sinker. He has a slow curveball, almost like Greinke does. I think he has a slider as well. So a pretty well-rounded pitch mix. It's just that his per nines are a little bit lower, so that's why he's not a super high tier pitcher for me. But, you know, with a guy like Oswalt, you're going to want to sit dead right on the fastball sinker. Make sure you time those up well. Make sure those are the pitches you are waiting on at the plate. First sit fastball. If you don't see that's a fastball out of the hand, you slow down to the breaking stuff. So Oswalt's breaking stuff are a little bit slower than the fastball, so it's a little easier to recognize that based off the speed difference. You have to really sit on those fastballs. And let's see how he times up those fastballs this game. So he is swinging a little freely here. 2 swings in the first part of the game here. Late on a down and in changeup. He at least put up a good at-bat at first at-bat, but you know, he didn't seem like he put many great swings. Again, you're going to want to start to pick up on your opponent's pitching trends. We talked about this when breaking down Kreiner's gameplay. You want to start to pick up on your opponent's trends and how they're approaching you. And he swings at another first pitch with Harper and rolls it over. I mean, ideally, I would want to see more at-bat, more pitches in the at-bat.
I'm a piece of shit. I suck. You know what, though? I want that damn sinker back. That was good, and it was foul ball. Like, how?
Okay, so just breaking down that first inning, it seemed like his timing on that sinker is a little bit over the place. He said he had one good timing foul ball on the sinker, which does happen, unfortunately. But overall, the swings that got him out, he was late on all 3 of them. 2 of them being sinkers. So if this for me, if I'm hitting at the plate, I'm looking at that bottom left, constantly keep an eye out on that timing. I'm going to try to sit quicker on a fastball, try to catch up to that a little more and make sure, you know, I'm sitting dead red fastball and I slow down to the breaking ball. I know Dimmu is someone who plays on All-Star a lot because on stream, plays a lot of events in BR. So when he's playing ranked tier, I assume he's in Hall of Fame ranked tier. I don't really know though. I would only assume he is based off his timing. He's consistently late on those fastballs. If it were me, I would be trying to adjust and time up those fastballs.
I have literally ever seen in my life. Look at those pitches he's taking right there. Those are borderline.
So you see that he just mentioned his opponent is one of the most patient opponents ever. And this could be one of 2 things normally, especially when you're not on like the super higher level rank where you're playing against really good players. Either his opponent actually does have a really good read of the strike zone and he's just doing a good job of gauging what's close, or what a lot of people do who are more intermediate players is they either take until a certain count, or if they see anything towards the edge of the zone, they just automatically take. You see, a lot of these pitches are going just a little bit outside of the zone. So I would like to see him make that adjustment, start to hit these corners more. You see there, doesn't swing at that slider, so he's keeping that pitch in mind. And you see, he expanded the zone like big on that 2-strike count. So for me, as a pitcher, if I'm picking up on any approach on his opponent, I'm picking up that his opponent's a little frisky on the edge of the zone, doesn't have the greatest read on the edge of the zone, but he may be someone who takes until 2 strikes. So you may want to attack him a little earlier in the at bat until he really proves that he can really read that edge of the zone well. I would be throwing on the edges of the zone just a little bit towards the middle of the plate, not much, just so I could get those pitches in the zone and not really aiming just outside the zone unless it's 2 strikes. Oh, his opponent timed up a fastball there for once. He actually timed up a fastball there for once. Gonna have to take mental note of that. His opponent's starting to read up on those fastballs. Ignore the meme. His opponent is starting to read up on those fastballs. You have to start to mix with that pitch mix. Oh, that is a great swing. See, he timed up a fastball. He got that pitch, and he actually timed up and dialed up for that fastball. And man, absolutely nuked that. That's perfect for him too, because he starts his PCI down and in. That seems to be where he's the most comfortable with it. So did a good job of sitting dead red fastball there and crushing it right in that heart of the zone that he hits well in. But you may see here, I'm already starting to see here, he's starting to get a little comfortable and swinging really freely. He was down 0-2 there. Didn't really work a great count. Swinging first pitch at a pitch out of the zone. If you're ahead in the count and you're getting into an at-bat early on, you really want to try to work that count a little better. Again, late on the sinker there. Lucky break by his opponent though, what? But yeah, a little late on those sinkers. You have to really keep on timing up those sinkers well. He's not going to really get great contact if he's late on these sinkers consistently. And there he goes again, late on a fastball. He's going to have to keep going like that Pete Alonso at bat and really time up those fastballs, because if he's going to be consistently late on them, it's going to be very difficult for him to hit, especially once late game comes around. He starts putting in some high velo relievers. Again, late on the fastball. All right, so his opponent's late on that fastball again. His opponent just really is not showing consistent timing on the fastball, but Dimmu just keeps on throwing it. Like, so many of these pitches are fastballs, and, you know, I feel like you gotta throw that slider a little bit more. You gotta throw that two-seam fastball a little more than he has. I barely see him throwing it once. His opponent will eventually read that four-seam. Well, at some point, you'll have to crush at least one of them. It's a very straight fastball. And he keeps on going to as his go-to pitch. He's gonna have to mix up that breaking stuff a little more.
You hear what I'm saying? The false I need this guy to not be a shitter. I say that. I'm only winning 2-0, and he might, who knows, fourth inning might be his inning where he just shellackles the dog shit out of me. I have no idea.
So one thing, he just pointed out an interesting point I want to talk about. Trying to gauge your opponent, understanding the actual skill level of your opponent, and, you know, it being confident to yourself. We talked about in Kreiner's video how, you know, a lot of times they're playing top good players who are used to legend difficulty, but they have that self-confidence that they're a good hitter and that no matter who they face, they're gonna beat. Dimmu just mentioned how he thinks he's playing a shitter. You guys know what I mean by that, a not so great player. So he's feeling this false sense of confidence. And this is one thing that, you know, is worth noting. I mean, he even mentioned himself, he's critiquing himself here. You know, he almost wishes he wasn't playing a really bad player, because then now he feels like he's overconfident that this game will be easy and that he might be swinging a little freely. And that's very true. Sometimes when you play against not so good players, you almost get overconfident in yourself. You start getting lazy, not paying attention, and it may start to be an issue for him to hit here. I mean, he's got 2 runs here in the third. It's only a 2-0 lead. Now, it's not impossible for your opponent to just score 2 runs on them, whatever, even if they aren't great. So you got to keep your foot on the gas. You got to really lock in still, even if you're playing against a bad player. Got to show no mercy. He actually timed up a sinker there. That's a good cut. That auto shift is unfortunate. He's got to keep doing that. Oh, he's late on it.
Pitches right down the middle. If it's in that center quadrant, I don't know how to hit it. I'll never hit it. That's the spot. You don't paint the corners with me.
Yeah, that's one thing. Sometimes, oh, that is an absolute cookie. He capitalized on that mistake. But he was mentioning it, how a lot of pitches over the heart of the plate he's not been hitting well. It's one thing you want to really make sure you do. Crush the mistakes. You got to hit any mistake pitch that gets thrown to you. If you aren't hitting well, you got to make sure that that one pitch you do hit is the good one. And again, that high sinker over the heart of the plate was one he could have really crushed with Acuna there. And the inning goes to waste.
Low away, low in, middle up, in. You know what I mean? Like inside, right where I just threw that fastball right there. And he hasn't caught on yet, so I'm scared I'm gonna throw it somewhere else. Maybe he's like, oh dude, please throw it up and away, and then I'll mash it. You know what I mean? Like I need you to hurt me here before I really change it up.
Okay, so he talked about his pitching approach there. Ooh, saying he was going middle in, down and away, down and in. And those are the areas of the zone that he was sticking to. And he was saying how, oh, he's gonna need to show me that he can hit that until he changes, which is actually a pretty good point. But one thing that I always say to people with pitching is that you probably do want to change up your approach bit by bit. He was saying how he was scared to throw in another part of the zone, that his opponent would crush it. And, you know, right as he says that, his opponent actually crushes a mistake down and in. It seemed like he's stuck with such a consistent pattern, stuck to the same parts of the zone, same types of pitches. His opponent eventually caught one of those mistake pitches because he's been sticking to that part of the zone. He's seen those pitches a lot, and his opponent absolutely nukes the ball here. One thing I always suggest is to have like a general approach, but always try to change it up here and there. Think of each inning as like a new opportunity to try a new approach. And always assume that if you stick with the same thing forever, that your opponent will eventually catch on, no matter how good or bad they are. Because people can pick up on patterns. People can pick up on the same routines, same pitches being thrown. So you have to be willing to change up gears and mix it up a little bit at least, to kind of get in your opponent's head so they can't sit in those same few pitches. And you see,
I threw a changeup.
And yeah, that changeup caught too much play and he crushed it.
Part of the plate now. Oh, he wins.
That's a great pitch. See, now you see him making the adjustments, throwing that up and away fastball more.
Like, he's pitching me really well, to be honest, man. He's seeing where I'm missing the ball, and he's going for it.
Yeah, it seems like he's attacking his lefties in very consistently. But just overall, everyone in very consistently here. He's been approaching a lot of these lefties inside. Oh, that's a fastball you gotta hit hard. You gotta crush that, Dimmu. I mean, that PCI needs to be on the ball. That's right down the pipe. He did a good old drop of the PCI on that pitch.
I'm just absolutely toasted.
Ooh, another fast one. He's laid on it. But look at Granky. Yeah, he knows he's getting hits on some bad swings here. He knows he's getting a little bit of lucky here. 3-1 count. Sit fastball. Sit fastball.
Holy shit.
That's a great take. Oh, Bryce. That's not even a bad swing. He was just a little underneath that. That's a great cut, Dimmu. It was just a little bit underneath it. He just missed it. He's making the adjustments at the plate here, but also you got to really capitalize on that damage while you are struggling like he is. He's stranded a lot of runners here, man. That is a good cut. That one was unfortunate.
There we go. You show that curveball to him, his timing's just absolutely confluffled.
Yeah, he mentions how he shows his opponent the curveball, so now his timing's all over the place. So it seems like what his opponent is doing is once he sees a breaking ball, he's sitting on the breaking ball and say, oh, I'm early on it. Now I gotta slow down. And then he throws a fastball and in GG's. If you're hitting against something like this, if you see a curveball down out of zone, for me, when I'm hitting, I almost take it as a mental, like, eliminate that pitch 2 times in a row. Like, no way to throw it twice. So that means if someone will set you up with that low breaking ball, then that means you should sit fastball. Try to catch up to that higher speed fastball and be ready for a next pitch, because they might be setting you up by throwing that pitch, leading you up to another one.
Dipper, is that a good start? I think it is. That's a base hit.
See, now he's starting to tie up his sinkers well. He's making some adjustments. He's squaring up those fastballs and sinkers a lot more now. He's got to keep that up.
I'm glad you grounded out, you big fat.
See, that was...
I'm so sorry.
See, that was him just not paying attention. A lot of people do this. You know, he gets a great hit. You get that confidence, like, oh, I just crushed that ball. Let me do the same thing next pitch. And he throws that slider and just rolls him the hell over. The opponent did a good job of reading how he timed a good sinker and that he was very much timing a fastball. And Dimmu rolls over and just gets a little impatient. And that inning's washed away like that. When you give up a hit, when you get a hit like that, sometimes when you're hitting and you get that confidence and you hit something great, sometimes you gotta calm yourself down a little bit and be like, hey, you know, I can't hit everything that gets thrown to me. You gotta still wait for your spot, wait for your pitch. Ooh, his opponent bunted.
Oh my God, he finally did it. What was that? Why did he come to the side? I wanted him to barehand.
Yeah, his opponent finally bunted, and obviously Dimmu was prepared for this. Happens sometimes. This does. Sometimes you don't get prepared for your opponent to bunt like this. But if this were me, if I were someone who was facing against someone who seemed not hitting fastballs well, not doing much, I would almost be over prepared, put at least a second baseman in, because in this situation, just give him a free base runner. And when you're struggling, that's when a lot of times people will be like, you know what, if I'm not hitting the ball well, then I'll bunt. At this point in the game, he's only squared up really 1 ball against him. So I would have gotten the defense in there just in all precaution. Again, his opponent can't time up that fastball, but you gotta be careful. You can't throw too many of them. Good fastball, though. He's getting his opponent to swing and miss on these fastballs a lot. His opponent's not doing a good job of timing them up, getting PCI on him. His opponent's just not ready for Hall of Fame, it seems like. Ooh.
I'm going to light myself on fire.
Don't blame you. Composure, Dimmu. I need you to stay calm and composed. Your timing's all over the place, Dimmu. Oh. Yep, he saw that fastball. It was about time we squared up one. Honestly, Granky wasn't too bad, but that's a valuable argument. If you have your bullpen fully rested in a close game like this, it is always good to pull your starter when you feel any sort of discomfort.
If somebody is showing an issue of hitting speed, that is actually a pretty solid fastball. I don't know. I mean, of course, who knows? I could get rocked here in just a second. Oh, he went. Oh, he didn't go. Well,
right, that's like a good pitch sequence from him there. Tunneled that down and in corner. Almost got his opponent to bite in that curveball.
I don't think he's gonna swing at this, to be honest.
And he makes a valuable point. The 100-mile-per-hour fastball Nen throws is definitely good at throwing those opponents off. But just like he learned with Granky, you can't throw too many of them. You gotta really mix in the breaking stuff enough to get their timing all over the place. He just threw 3 straight sliders to him inside, and he swung and missed at every single one of them. And I think every single one of them were out of zone. Just right. That's a good one. That's the exact same spot. And
On 3 sliders.
they were all the exact same spot. And if your opponent just throws you the same pitch in the exact same spot, you got to pick up that, you know, he's throwing that same pitch. I mean, Hater's tough. Don't get me wrong. This Hater's tough with that slider because he throws across his body. The slider starts off all the way to the right because he's got that quirky release and comes all the way back to the left. He's got a lot of movement. You got to get a good vision of that. At this point, he just wasn't following the ball well into the zone, and he just bit on all 3 of them. I think his hitting frustrations are starting to get there, so he's a little bit all over the place right now, which happens. Again, that slider middle in. His opponent keeps on throwing those to righties. He's gonna have to hit one of them. Yeah. Let's look back at that slider again real quick.
Beat it out, baby. No. All right.
When you're facing a guy like Hater against a lefty, you gotta always be ready for that slider down in the way. If you see that slider, or at least a ball out of the hand, like right here, you gotta be, especially with a lefty up at the plate, ready to slow down. If you see any sort of slowing speed, any movement starting to the left, which is about halfway through the motion, we'll go in slow motion here. So just looking at the ball's path, right around here, when you see that movement going to the left like that, you have to instantly snap that, hey, there's a slider down in the way. And chances are in an 0-2 count, he's not going to dot that throw in the zone. He's seen that slider in that part of the zone so much this inning. He's thrown 18 pitches with Hater. At this point, you have to freeze. You have to pick up early in that pitch's motion that is a slider, because now he slightly commits to it and it's not even close. It's too late. And that's the key with recognizing pitches. You got to make sure you are looking at that motion of the ball and picking up that point where you recognize any sort of movement as soon as possible.
There we go. Jammed him.
Going to Zach Britton now after going to Rob Nen. Going to the high-speed sinker. I mean, he knows his opponent hasn't hit high speed well, so a good adjustment to make. You got to really tunnel down and into the righties, though, kind of like what he did with Hater. Except you have that sinker you can dot back with. Yeah, he's tunneling down and in with that slider. A great way to approach righties with this Britton, especially if your opponent's late on stuff. You got to stay down and in. Also, I hope he put the bunt defense in. He should have been prepared for the bunt here if he... Because Jackie, the chance to be the go-ahead run. A little spooky.
Now I'm nothing.
Yeah. Okay, now he's late on that sinker, but he gets one to drop.
The Lord be with you. Here's Big Meat Pete.
You gotta make this adjustment. Yeah, now he's earlier on the sinker. It's a good adjustment, but that PCI ain't close. Keep that PCI down and in. Ooh. Yeah, just too aggressive swinging. When you're ahead in the count like that, or earlier on in the at-bat, when you swing aggressively like this, you just give your opponent free strikes. Then now, too late on that four seam. When you're late game, as much as it is tempting to want to just jump first pitch, swing aggressively, especially if you don't feel that great about your hitting, sometimes the best thing you could do is take 1 or 2 strikes just to get your opponent to work the pitch count, get their opponent thinking. He's kind of swinging and flailing a bit here, so his opponent's getting a lot of free strikes. The confidence is going up quicker because he's throwing swings and misses. And sometimes you gotta just relax and work that count a little more. This is a big inning, by the way, so going to those high velo guys knows his opponent's struggling. This is why it's so key to hit those high speed velocities practicing on Hall of Fame legend difficulty so you can get those reps, because his opponent has not timed up those fastballs well, and Dimmu's just pounded those high speed guys on him, which is about the right way to go about it. Now he's got 3 outs. See, this is looking great so far. Oh, gotta hit that fastball. Gotta time up that fastball, especially after seeing one the pitch before, Dimmu. If he gave you a fastball pitch before, you gotta be sitting dead red on it. I know it's Goose, but that's a pitch you gotta at least be early or good on. You cannot be laying those fastballs, especially against Goose, because he will kill you. Yeah, and then there's the fastball again. And he got to a point where he got super defensive, was swinging everything close to the zone, and it hurt him. But that's a bad pitch. He capitalized, man. His opponent threw one bad pitch with Goose. His not so great control. And he at least hit that breaking ball. That's big. Okay. So he just mentioned he felt like he was hitting well for a bit, and all of a sudden just poof, he just felt like he couldn't hit anymore. And honestly, I'm just breaking down how he scored those runs. He had that Pete Alonso absolute nuke of a bomb. The double with Acuna, which is that slider down in the way. And it felt like that inning, he did a good job of sitting dead red on those fastball sinkers, was timing them up well that inning, and that's how he got his 2 runs. He was even slowing down to the breaking balls, back to that Acuna double he hit. He was still early on it, but he slowed down enough to keep it in play. At least he was earlier on it because he got good exit velocity on it. That ball was roped to the gap. Then it felt like after that, it felt like, you know, a couple innings went by and he was a little later. He started to get a little comfortable once he took that lead. And then through like the 6th to 8th inning, he knew his opponent was clawing back. He started to get a little too anxious. He was swinging a lot at the plate, but he wasn't timing up those fastballs. And one thing I always talk about is remembering a hitting approach. Come up with an approach of what you're going to be doing at the plate. Are you going to sit on a certain pitch? Are you going to wait for him to throw at a certain pitch? That's always my way to go. I always recommend to people, sit fastball. Always expect a fastball, and then try to pick up on it not being a fastball and slowing down to the breaking stuff. Just because the timing allows you to do that a lot easier. If you're someone who is not ready for a fastball, you'll be late on basically every fastball your opponent throws you, like his opponent he played this game, funny enough. And it becomes an issue at that point. So you got to sit dead red fastball like he did in that 2nd inning. Obviously, he was struggling, but he found a way to get it done. He got a mistake pitch and made sure to capitalize on it. And if you are struggling, which does happen to everyone, you know, I really point out how he missed some easy to hit pitches. That's really what you need to do. If you're going to do any bare minimum, you got to hit the easy to hit pitches hard, and that final slurve he was able to hit out of here with that Xander Bogaerts. So overall, just breaking down the gameplay, I think that we were able to point out a lot of common issues I find a lot of people get into. Obviously, everyone has different issues, things that they struggle with. But overall, I feel like a lot of the players who aren't playing at the top level, who have good PCI movement and good ability to read pitches, can fall into this kind of boat where they struggle with, you know, getting an approach at the plate. I felt like if there's anything I would recommend to Mr. Dimmu, sit dead red fastball. When you're hitting, wait for that fastball to come. Make sure that if he throws any fastball, you're either early or good on it. You never want to be late in that fastball, and slow down to the breaking stuff. Also, try to pick up on your opponent's routines, especially in that later inning with Josh Hader. He kept on going to that slider in that part of the zone. So in your head, you kind of got to click and be like, hey, he's throwing that pitch in that spot over and over again. And you got to be able to pick it up out of the hand, especially after seeing it enough that, hey, it's that slider in that left side part of the plate. And finally, you know, last thing is just composure and confidence. We talked about this with Kreiner, like I mentioned before, where he felt like he was super confident in himself, but also stuck to his approach and did well. I felt like Dimmu mentioned it. He felt like he was playing a bad player at the start of the game, so he felt overly confident. He was swinging, flailing a bit, especially after he scored those 2 runs. I felt like that was his problem for a while. But you know, obviously, you know, Dimmu isn't a top type player, so this is just me offering advice to anyone who's trying to improve on the game. And I think this is a fun breakdown of a gameplay of someone who is not a top player like a Kreiner, and pointing out things that he did right and things that he did wrong. I hope I didn't roast too hard. I did this all in a manner in terms of a gameplay perspective and just trying to offer advice and improvement. If you guys want to see more of this, make sure you like the video. Comment down below who else you would want to see me break down. I think I know one person who I want to break down next, and it'd be fun to kind of break down their approach and see what else they do and see if we can compare things to like what Dimmu did and kind of offer advice, break down different parts of the game, and just do a bunch of different things based off that. I hope you guys enjoyed. You all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all again in the next video. Deuces.